Wir haben hohe Gäste hier oder hohen Besuch hier. Larry Taylor von Canned Heat und auch Skip Taylor, der Manager, der allerdings auch schon viele andere Künstler zusammen gemanagt hat und sehr viel gemacht hat. When you were on stage in 1969 in Woodstock, did you think about it that you will be 40 years after that here and still talking about this evening? Did you realize that in this moment?
A big no.
What did you think?
I had no idea.
No way.
There's no way. How would you know that? There's no way you could know that.
So you just said to me the festivals in front of it were mini. If you
about Monterey,
Monterey, yeah,
being much smaller, but it still had that feeling of that time. And then Woodstock was just 20 times over, but that same vibe.
Atlantic City, which was a couple of weeks before that.
That one too.
That one, that had 150,000 people.
All those
Atlantic
festivals,
City,
Skip, had that good vibe.
And then as
Miami,
Miami
Texas,
Pop Festival,
Texas International
Pop Festival, New Orleans Pop Festival. There were so many in '67.
So when you started to go to Woodstock, you thought it would be a festival like all the other festivals.
Originally, yeah. I mean, they planned for 100,000. That was the plan. That the promoters thought they would have 100,000 people.
So what was for you the biggest problem in Woodstock? I think there were many problems, but
the biggest problem was getting there and then getting out of there. We flew in little planes to an airport. Then we had the helicopter take us in. We're finished with the show. Now what? They had no cell phones, no internet. They had one phone line backstage, and all the roads are blocked. And, they didn't have tents for us. They didn't have It was like, okay, now what are we going to do? We used a little imagination and a little luck, because I saw a limousine sitting there with a key in it. And looked around and opened the door. Nobody came and said, "What are you doing with my car?" It was unlocked. I said, "Guys, get your guitars and let's see if we can use this limousine." We didn't know where we're going or if we'd get 100 yards, away. And we loaded in and we started driving. And the Bear had to get out with a bunch of kids and lift cars out of the way so we could get by. And off we went. And we finally saw, and here we are staying in Mannheim now at a Holiday Inn. That's where we stayed that night 40 years ago. We stayed at a Holiday Inn. I went in and saw they had their book open, and I saw Big Brother and the Holding Company, 13 rooms.
Yeah.
And I said, they're still at the festival. They're not going to be here for their rooms. We're Big Brother. Can we have our room keys, please? And stayed there, took their room keys, stayed that night there because they had no rooms available. Everything was booked out for 100 miles around there.
Yeah.
We hid the car in the woods. We slept, got up the next day, and drove away and drove out of there.
Except that myself, I found a limo that evening after the show, and I took off to the airport. I didn't even stay at the hotel.
To New York City.
Yeah,
New York.
Way back to New York
LaGuardia.
City. Yeah.
And I went and I sort of slept at the airport because we had just been on the road for like a 9 or 10 week tour, and that was the very last show, and I was ready to go home.
Okay, and there's a famous story about Canned Heat in Woodstock because it was the first gig with Howie Mandel, if I'm right.
No, it wasn't the first, but it was because we played the Fillmore.
Yeah, we played other gigs.
Yeah, we played the Fillmore with him.
And you get some problems with your drummer who didn't want to play. I read it,
he didn't want to get out of the hotel to even go.
And how did you get him?
Warwick Hotel.
Who didn't? Fido?
Fido didn't want to go.
That makes sense.
Because we had to. I mean, we were originally supposed to play at Stony Brook College that night, and our agent called and said, I've got a gig for you that you have to play. You have to cancel the college gig.
Yeah.
This festival is happening in New York. You've got to play. Fine, and he got us a great amount of money. We got the second most other than Jimi Hendrix for that show.
Yeah.
Which at the time was $13,000. That was a lot of money at the time. And Hendrix got $15,000. But so I went to call the college to cancel playing the college gig, and the guy said, "Oh, I'm glad you called because I was just going to call you to cancel because I know this big festival is happening and nobody's coming to our college show." I went, "Oh, good." I said, so we got paid for the college show and went to the festival.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, but it's a famous story, and you didn't know that Frito was in the hotel.
He starts
No,
his
I
book.
didn't.
That's how his book starts.
I didn't. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he says, get away from me, using a 4-letter expletive word, and I don't want to go anywhere, and I'm not. I said, come on, there's a festival. And he went.
Also es ist eine sehr, sehr berühmte Geschichte auch vom Woodstock Festival, die mit Canned Heat zusammenhängt, denn es gab vorher ein bisschen Probleme, die hatten sich zerstritten, der Gitarrist war dann praktisch weg und dementsprechend hatte dann der Schlagzeuger keine Lust zu spielen und praktisch im Vorfeld, bevor es dann wirklich nach Woodstock ging, hatte der sich im Hotel eingeschlossen und Skip, der hier sitzt, hat jetzt gerade diese Geschichte erzählt, wie er dann tatsächlich auch sich den Generalschlüssel geschnappt hat und rein ist und ihn überzeugt hat. Es gab relativ viel Geld, damals hat er gerade erzählt, sie haben nach Jimi Hendrix eigentlich die zweithöchste Gage damals bekommen in Woodstock, $13.000 war das damals und er konnte ihn dann doch irgendwie überzeugen, da noch ein bisschen mitzumachen. Wir machen ein bisschen Werbung, gleich sind wir wieder da und unterhalten uns noch ein bisschen weiter über Woodstock.